The other day, at the beginning of a video, I made a joke. I said, what do you call 100,000 federal workers that resigned on the same day? And I said, that is a good start, but not enough. That was a little joke that I made. And I was referring to 100,000 workers, federal workers, apparently took like a buyout package. They haven't worked for months, but last week was their last day of pay and they resigned. Well, a lot of people got upset about that joke that I made. I saw a lot of nasty comments, even got some emails about it, people calling me names and things like that. And I want to say that I'm sorry. I am sorry that you don't understand basic math. So I'm going to do it for you. In 2024, the federal government spent $6.75 trillion, okay? And they took in taxes, $4.91 trillion, okay? So, with that being said, for every dollar that they spent, they borrowed 27 cents, all right? The average federal worker with benefits, they make $140,000 a year. So each year that we pay a federal worker $140,000, we borrow $37,800 to pay that person's salary and benefits. If you think that is sustainable, you need to get right with yourself. I mean, you need a checkup from the neck up. It's just not going to happen. And you see it every day. And every time someone tries to reduce spending, people throw a fit about it. You know what I mean? It's the end of the world. You can't cut government jobs. We have to. There's no other way around it. We can't keep going the way that we are. This whole thing will collapse at some point. When that's going to happen, I have no idea. It's like when you hear about bankruptcy, it takes a long time until it doesn't. Like it goes real slow, then happens all at once. And it's going to happen here. There's just no way around it. And the problem is, you know, you just look at it as the government. Well, they can just borrow more money or print more money. It's the interest on that money. Almost a quarter of all taxes collected right now go to pay just the interest on the debt. Totally unsustainable. A good way to put it would be this. If you made $100,000 a year and you spent $127,000 a year and you paid 3.5% interest, which is about what the government is paying on their debt right now, in 10 years' time, and I'm not talking a mortgage on a house, this is just your daily living and operating expenses in a household. If you spent 127, took in 100, and did that for 10 years, you would be $300 and some $1,000 in debt. Well, you know, multiply that by billions and trillions, and that's where we're at. We have almost, I don't even know what it is now, $38 trillion in debt. And anytime anybody talks about cutting spending, a lot of people freak out about it. It's the only way. I don't know if there's any saving it at this point anymore, but you could slow down the inevitable. I don't know. You could, you know, if we're borrowing 27 cents on every dollar that we spend, if you cut federal spending by 30%, we could do it. And that's never going to happen. You know, anytime, I mean, if somebody gets laid off or they want to get rid of someone, there's some federal judge that somehow says you can't do that. It makes no sense to me at all. I worked in the private sector my whole life, and people losing their jobs, that's just part of it. You know what I mean? You find another job. I made it through a lot of different layoffs and things. Back in the day in oil and gas, I mean, they'd pull in the black SUVs and they had a list of people and they were gone. And they'd give them a severance package or whatever, but that was the end of it. Federal workers should not be any exception. And by the way, we're shut down right now. I haven't noticed any difference at all, but apparently we're shut down and they always get back pay. This time, maybe not so much, hopefully. We'll see. And it's just the way it is. We can't keep going the way that we're going. It's just not going to work out. The whole thing will collapse. Do you know that gold just hit, it's over $4,000 an ounce? And that's not because all of a sudden people started looking around and saying, wow, that stuff's valuable, I want to buy some. No, it's a safe haven for instability, sketchiness in the dollar, and it is over $4,000 an ounce. Unbelievable. I bought some 2022, I don't know when it was, a couple years ago, for like $1,800 an ounce. It's at $4,000 an ounce right now. Everything, credit card debt's through the roof. Everything is built on debt. And it's not just the federal government. This is more on a local level. Our school district, I think today they're voting on it, and I think they're going to go ahead with it. $165 million expansion. They say we need more room for more students, but it's all smoke and mirrors because it's $165 million. All they're going to gain is 39 classrooms, but they are going to have a performing arts center, a big theater, auditorium thing with a balcony, seats 1,600 people. They have a drawing of what it's going to look like. They're acting like, we're still debating it, but it sounds like they're going to go ahead with it. Now, our school district is currently spending $12 million a year just servicing the current debt. And they want to borrow $165 million. They'll sell bonds to do so. They'll pay around 4.6% on those bonds. And after 20 years, the total cost for that will be around $230 million to gain 39 classrooms. It's insane. It's irresponsible. I don't know what these people think. In my opinion, and I always catch a lot of heat for this, government, whether it be local, state, federal, all those types of things, school boards, they start off with good intentions. They do. And over time, they become self-serving and self-preserving more than serving the general public. It's just the way it is. And then they get some power. They don't want to relinquish that power to have new people come in. Excuse me. And we're all to blame for this. We are. I hate to admit it because I'm to blame for it. You're to blame for it. We've all let this happen all these years. We sit back. Once somebody gets in office, it's hard to get them out. And it just, we allow this to happen. But I'm telling you right now, we better all prepare for something big if something doesn't change, because this cannot keep going the way that it is. It's just impossible. It's math. It's not my opinion. Like I said, to all those people that sent me nasty comments and emails, these government workers are losing their livelihood. We have no money to pay them. We have $38 trillion less than no money. That's how much money the government has. They're broke. So if you're having a bad day and you're looking at your bank account and it's, not looking good, you could just say, hey, I got 38 trillion more than the government, so there's an upside to that. I don't know. It's just crazy. And I don't understand how people can't see it and understand it. The same thing with this expansion of the school that they're talking about here locally. You see people on Facebook arguing about it. Our kids deserve this. No, they don't deserve to be strapped with all this debt, both, locally and federally. That's what they don't deserve. But I don't think a kid deserves a $165 million place to performing arts or whatever. I don't get it. Speaking of Facebook, that's my other rant for the day. A couple years ago, I did a video talking about AI and how everything's going to change and you're not going to know what's real and what's not real. Well, that day has arrived. It's here. I think over the next couple years, maybe even sooner than that, everything's going to change when it comes to like YouTube and social media and Facebook. I don't think it'll be for the better, to tell you the truth. It's probably going to be for the worse. I don't think you're going to know what's real, what's not real. for sure. I saw a new app the other day, Sora. I need a drink of water. Sora. And I think they came out with version 2. And it's going to be the death of TikTok, which might not be a bad thing. But Sora, you can literally just any prompt, type in whatever you want, and it'll make you a video. And there's one circulating out there. They're everywhere right now. I saw one today, for example. A guy is pulling a deer out of his truck, a buck, or attempting to, and a mountain lion climbs up in the truck and grabs the deer and pulls it away. And you can kind of tell it was a little bit off, but there are thousands of comments, thousands, and like a couple thousand shares where people shared this video thinking it is real, and it's just all AI generated. It's all fake. I saw one with a cat stopping a bear attack or something, and then a whole series of cats. But yeah, I can't believe people fall for this stuff, and it gets kind of spooky. You know, they're going to be able to, they can right now, have like a world leader or some politician or whoever just come right out and say something that they never did, you know, declare war or something. Yeah, you don't know what could happen. So if you see something and you have that gut feeling like this can't be real, it's not. There's so much out there right now. And what's going to happen, like I said with TikTok, for example, they pay, you know, their creators like YouTube does, but you can have just AI prompting AI to make hundreds or thousands of short videos a day that will automatically publish on there. And I think I still have a little bit of faith that there's still a lot of people out there that kind of get it, you know what I mean? And it's just all nonsense. It's just like a brain drain, sitting there scrolling through fake videos, learning nothing, achieving nothing, gaining nothing, just becoming dumber by the minute. And I still think though there's people out there that like real things and want to learn things and do things and build things and create things. But there's so many, they'll just sit there and scroll one video after another of absolute nonsense. And I don't understand it. I guess that's where we're at today. I don't know. My suggestion is, like, if you have your favorite YouTubers or whatever, subscribe to their channel, hit the notification, and stay in touch with real people, you know? Because like I said, anything that pops up that looks just like, wow, that is crazy, I can't believe that happened, it's probably fake, and it was just generated by AI. It's like anything else. AI could really be helpful and solve a lot of problems. It might be able to help cure diseases, but there's always a downside. And I found, even myself am guilty of it as well, sometimes I was always a guy, I like math and I like numbers, and when I hear something or I read something, I would literally like pull up a spreadsheet on my computer, start plugging some numbers in and figure out the answer. And you know, all the answers are always in the math. You know, when they tell you something, you got to figure it out yourself. Now I use AI some to do like calculations, and you know, I'll say like, if this happens and this and this, and at this interest rate, what would that cost in, you know, so many months or years or whatever, and I let AI figure it out. Well, when you do that, your brain's not working. You know what I mean? You have to exercise your brain like everything else. You got to use it or lose it, you know? And I just think the whole thing is making everybody dumber. I do. Hopefully there's enough of us out there that get it. We'll see what happens, but it's not looking good for the home team, in my opinion, at all. I could talk about this stuff for days, and I don't want to bore you, but the bottom line is this. This can't go on forever. Just can't happen. We can't keep spending money that we don't have. Everything is just smoke and mirrors. One last story for you. I worked in oil and gas for about 10 years. And I mentioned this before. It's when I finally thought that I made it, you know. First job ever, I had paid vacation and good benefits, and it was the easiest job I ever had. It was. I don't get stressed about that kind of stuff. I did my job well. I hired contractors to build well pads, and met with the different regulatory agencies, and drove around in a white pickup truck and made more money than I ever made before, and it drove me crazy. But the point of this story is this. That company, I remember my first day, it was a long hiring process, you know, but my first day of work, I go through all the stuff and I sit down at my desk, and a girl gives me a stack of invoices about this thick. And I'm like, what's this? She goes, these are your invoices. I'm like, how so? And it was for jobs in the area that I was assigned. And I'm just looking at thousands and thousands, millions of dollars. And I'm looking at the work performed and the dollar amount, and it's not adding up in my head, because wherever I used to work, it was a recipe for disaster what I was looking at. And that company, they were huge. And they would always talk, you know, have earnings reports and things, and they'd never talk about actual profit. It was all about production, is what they talked about. Producing gas and oil. And they'd sell like an asset somewhere, and then the earnings report would come out, and it would say production increased this amount, and then in small print it would say adjusted for asset sales. So in other words, they were producing a lot less, but on paper they were trying to make it look like they were producing more. With that plan in mind, you could literally sell every well and every asset you had all over the country and have one remaining well, and go over and open that valve up a little bit more, put out your earnings report and say production increased 15% this quarter, adjusted for asset sales. It's all smoke and mirrors. Back in the day, it was just about like how much a company took in and how much they spent and profit, and everything now is just debt and get more debt, and then someone's left holding the bag eventually, and I'm afraid it's going to be all of us. I don't know. But we have to make changes if we're going to survive as a country. And I don't know if people are willing to do that. Nobody wants it to be them, you know. Everyone, I think 40% or over 40% of our GDP is government spending, you know. So if you were to just slash the government in half, we're going to take a huge hit. 30%, that's the number. You got to cut it 30%. You can start paying down the debt. If we did that, this economy would explode. And what happens is, I know I'm all over the place. They get us all fighting over stupid things while they devalue our dollar in your retirement. You know what I mean? That's what they do. The right versus the left, everyone gets mad at one another, and nobody understands, or they overlook the fact this has been done to us for decades. This isn't something happening this month or last year or the last 5 years. They spend more than they take in. They do so for votes and for power, and it devalues the dollar. And, you know, I see comments. I feel bad for people. It's corporate greed. That's what. Greed has been a thing since the beginning of time. That's not why things cost more right now. It's because the dollar is devalued. That's why gold prices is over $4,000 an ounce. It's not all of a sudden people looked at gold and said, hey, this stuff's probably going to be worth something. Or it's just not the way it works. You know what I mean? The price of gold didn't go up. It's still the same gold. It's the value of the dollar has gone down. Now, this is interesting, and I'm not an economist or anything, but I know basic math, and I know that you can't spend more than you take in for decades on end. I know that much. But we may see a deflationary period where prices really drop a lot. That sounds good. It does. And if you're hoarding cash, that would be a good thing. That would be a good thing, because there would be some deals to be had on anything, real estate properties. But when you get into a deflationary period, that's because nobody has any money left, and companies are grasping at straws to sell inventories and get rid of what they can and make what they can. which means they're laying off people, you know, more job losses, less money. That's when, that could be the way this goes down. It really could. Once you start seeing huge price drops, start digging that bunker. Yeah, but I'm going into full-blown prepper mode. I am. Nothing, I'm not digging a bunker yet, but I've been this way for years, and I've felt this way for years, and I just don't think there's a good end in sight. We have let this happen, get to this point, and things only last so long, you know? And I'm afraid if we don't do something, this country might not look the same in a few years. I don't know if it's 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, next month. No idea. But anyway, that was my apology for saying that we need to get rid of a bunch of federal workers. Hope you're having a great day. Catch you on the next one.